continue on and let's talk about Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. So we have some news on what this whole, well, the rumor synopsis. And of course, now they're saying that they're going to have a new Slayer. And Buffy will be involved as like she's going to be like I guess more of a guest star. But that'll be interesting. As long as y'all find something to do with her, don't just have her come up here. Like I said, when it comes to these legacy characters, don't just have them showing up to deliver a couple of lines and look pretty and then leave just because you want to bring us nostalgia fans back. Because when y'all had the TV series, y'all wasn't giving us Christy Swanson in every damn episode. You launched it as your own thing. Remember, Chris, for those who don't know, Christy Swanson was in the original movie with Luke Perry, which I just found out. Shout out to Coy Jandreau. I did not know this. So apparently, did y'all know Luke Perry's first name is actually Coy? I did not know that was his actual name, and his middle name is Luke. So I was like, I didn't know that was that. Can you imagine Coy Perry? They'd have been like, that's a little too country. It's like, no, we're not going by that name. But anyway, Luke Perry, it sounds very Hollywood. So it worked for him. And then, of course, two late people. We had Paul Rubens, who was up in that movie, which I loved his character in that film. Well, actually, three. Rutger Hauer, who was the big bad. And then we had Luke Perry. So, like, damn, three of the characters in that movie is dead. Christy Swanson, her career is dead. So I guess that makes four. But anyway, so according to TV Line, they said as the Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series inches closer to getting a pilot order at Hulu, the continuation is starting to gather its cast. The potential reboot, which likely will find original series lead Sarah Michelle Gellar reprising her titular role as a recurring guest star, it's said to be focused on a new Slayer and the next chapter of the Buffyverse. The new Slayer, TV Line can exclusively report, seems to skew more Willow than Buffy. Per preliminary and subject to change intel, she is a cerebral 16-year-old named Nova, though we're fairly certain that name is just a placeholder, who is very smart and a bit of a loner. Actually, I actually like the name Nova. I think they should keep the show going as like, give your Slayers bizarre names. Buffy, well, I had a dog named Buffy, actually. A Pomeranian, may she rest in peace. I did name my dog Buffy. That's why I guess, look, I tell you, I am such a fan of this franchise. I had a dog named Buffy. I got a dog now named Xena. Look, I just tend to name my dogs after some of my favorite female icons. So, and she's a Bulldog Shar-Pei mix, so she's a big dog, big, strong dog. So, of course, she had to go with the name Xena. But anyway, so when it comes down to it, I think the name Nova's cute. First of all, weren't they supposed to make a Nova series at Disney Plus? They're not using the damn name, so why not call this new Slayer Nova? And also, I kind of like the idea that would make it the opposite. That the Slayer is not some girl who was a cheerleader that was that came in as self-confident, was very popular in school until she became the Slayer, and then everybody started to hate her because she was out killing vampires. When in fact, and people were looking at her as, okay, now she's the weirdo. So now she gravitated more towards the outsiders because while on the outside, she fits the criteria of the popular school kid and all those other stuff, checks all the boxes. Deep down, Buffy was like, that rebel, that regular schmegular girl, but just on the exterior, she checks all the boxes of what it would take to be a popular kid in school. But she was just weird because of the Slayer thing. So I like the idea of flipping it and making it more like her being like Willow during the first season. Because remember, as the show progressed, Willow became more powerful and more confident because she got into witchcraft, and then she came out as a lesbian, and then she did all this stuff. She became confident in her own other way. That nerd stuff kind of just dissipated as she got older and became more of an adult. So to have a Slayer more or less be an awkward, nerdy teenager, very introverted, very quiet. And then she has these powers and then she becomes extroverted. Then I actually think that would be a cool new angle to take with the franchise. So I hope they keep the name Nova. Excuse me. Now they said her buddies, aka those who would be considered the Scoobies in the original series, will include Hugo. Oh, they said an out and proud nerd who comes from money. Wait, so they're saying like he's I thought they said out and proud nerd as a homosexual. But I think they're saying he's just but anyway, here's the thing with nerds. When I was growing up, nerd was considered a negative. Now when you look at it, nerds are cool. It's funny how like in 30 years, since the 90s, um, the tables have turned. Now it's like if you're a nerd, if you're like a dork type kid or a very smart bookworm type, you're considered one of the cool kids. I mean, the nerds are kind of ruling the world, aren't they? The Silicon Valley types. They're your new Bond villains. Hence, the one that owned Tesla. And so they say, yeah, Hugo is the out and proud nerd who comes from money. So I'm thinking that would probably be like the Xander character. And they said, and Gracie, a young expert on vampires who's an acolyte of Gellar's Buffy. So they already know about the vampires and more. Because remember, like when we watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they weren't aware of like all this supernatural stuff that was going on. So I guess now it's like out in the open. And Gracie sounds like that she would be more like the Giles of the series. Where it's like, and then I wonder how that'll work because remember when we were watching the show, it was more like they would hang out in the library and all this stuff. Now it seems like libraries are a little scarce. I mean, yeah, libraries still exist and people go to them in certain situations, but I would really be curious to be like, in this day and age, what would be the kids' new hangout? Everything is social media, everything is computers, everything is high tech. So how will they make this work? Where it was like back in the day, you had to look things up, you had to read it in a book. You had to do all that stuff. So now it's like what is like how to kill this vengeance demon or whatever is the spell now on Google. So that's what I'm curious to see, like how they'll play all this because this will be relatively interesting in my opinion. So yeah, so now they're looking for people to the cast for all three roles, and I kind of like this, but I'm hoping like while they do that because these characters sound relatively interesting. Um, what other legacy characters could we bring back? Like I still said, I would love to see Angel. I would love to see Spike. I would love to see Cordelia get her just due because I'm still mad at how Joss Whedon treated her on her season of Angel, where you basically just killed her off while she was technically she was well in real life she was pregnant during her final season, and y'all were trying to find ways around it. So I'm curious enough to see how they work out that whole storyline. Will we actually get to see Xander? I would love to see Willow come back. I did hear something about an evil Giles or something another that they were talking about they were going to have on the show. I don't necessarily know if all that is true, but as all of this stuff is coming out, I'm relatively excited for this new series. I know Sarah has said that the ball has been rolling relatively quickly. They've already set up their offices in Los Angeles. I'm glad they're shooting the show in LA. So, and I'm sure it'll be on a bunch of damn sound stages because LA can use the money right now, especially what happened with the wildfires. So I'm excited to see this new show. I'm hoping that the legacy characters will be utilized a lot more. If we're gonna bring Sarah Michelle Gellar back, I would love to see her. I'm still hellbent on the whole. I want her to be a Giles type character. Like I would love to see a Slayer where she could be more like in a Giles type of role versus just her still hunting vampire. I mean, you can hunt vampires at any age. I don't think that there's a cutoff point. If you still alive and breathing and you got the ability to slay vampires, even if you damn near pushing 50, excuse me, if you have the wherewithal, I say do it. So I ask all of you, based off of this news that you have heard thus far, what do you guys think of this news regarding the story around the characters that they're looking for that are going to appear possibly in Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And this is according to TV Line, so I think they would be pretty legit with their commentary and their overall scoop in regards to this. So I would definitely want to hear from you all. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below.